SBA EIDL Loan increase reconsideration and repayment updates coming to you right here in this video, as well as how to locate grants, ways you probably didn't even know about, the SBA EIDL versus other SBA loans in the mix, what you should be doing right now to secure your future in your business, as well as it helps you appear a lot more because it gives you a peace of mind where you don't have to worry about the EIDL loan coming back, or if you don't get this amount, you were shut down for reconsideration, and PPP, ERC, so much more I'm going to be covering in this video. My name is Michael with Viral Funding Solutions, and happy Monday. Happy to have you guys here. Hopefully you all had a great weekend. You're recharged and you're ready to tackle the rest of the week like I know you are, and you're going to go at it full throttle. I've already spoken to plenty of you looking for business funding, your situation, what are your needs, what are the problems, what pains are you currently going through, what's stopping you, what kind of questions, and ultimately, what is the outcome or the results you are trying to get to. As a business loan broker expert, I've been able to help a lot of businesses secure funding, not only through the EIDL, but other SBA loans. If you haven't been watching my content recently, I've come out with content on SBA EIDL versus SBA 7A loans, EIDL versus unsecured term loans versus merchant cash advances, and more of this content will continue to come out. And I did it in a series, as well as I've been following up on everything happening with the SBA EIDL, with the officers, with people who are working within, to bringing you the latest and greatest. And that's what I'm going to do here today. So I'm not going to waste any more time. Now, the biggest update of the moment, I'm going to work backwards here, and I'm going to give you the number one thing you need to start preparing for come October, November, December, into January, and so forth, is making sure you pay your loan. So deferment period is not going to be extended any further. There's no indication. Nobody has come out to say, hey, now we're going to add another 30 days or another 6 months on top of this, and then we're going to add another 6 months. So right now is a pivotal time for you to start making those payments. And I'm going to get into the share screen in just a moment to go over where you need to go through, what are the websites you need to access, where do you need to go, and what to do thereafter. But before I get into any of that, what you need to know is about 30,000 or so will be due by October, your guys' first payments through October, November, December, and then the rest of it thereafter. Now, you have to be more prepared for that. And the second thing, what I want to make a notice of, a lot of you who haven't been given responses on why were you declined for an increase, what happened to my reconsideration, why was there no communication? And yeah, there's a certain extent to that you may have not been communicated. And even the exact reason, especially because of these 4506T forms that I spoke about last week on the live and I created content around. So if you haven't seen some of that, make sure you guys look in the description for all this information. And so what's happening right now is, yes, if you were put in that reconsideration, if you ask for an increase before the May 6th deadline or on that day, then over 40,000 of those reconsiderations have been reviewed. So just about the majority have been. Perhaps you haven't been given a response, you've been unaware, maybe you appealed 1 or 2 times, and the second time you didn't hear a response back, which is common. Now, don't be afraid, since the EIDL loan may not come back anytime soon, within 1 to 3 months, 3 to 6 months, perhaps in the beginning of next year, or at all. What you should be preparing more for right now are other SBA loan options, and I'm going to cover that. But if you want to know what the other ones are that are available, make sure you check in the description. I've already done an in-depth amount of content on like SBA 7A loans, private lenders, non-private lending options, commercial real estate. If you're in traditional for traditional real estate financing, I do that as well, and so much more. And I have a few notes here that I put together just so I make sure that you have everything in mind. And we're going to go through the SBA.gov website to show you how you can start making these repayments, and a little bit more on how you can get an alternative to the EIDL loan. Now, let me know, where are you guys also tuning in from? I know I didn't say this in the beginning. Don't be shy. Give me a wave or a thumbs up. I'm an introvert too, and it's pretty difficult. And I can remember as far back when I first got started into my own business, how difficult it was to get any money, get any kind of cash flow flowing. and let alone making the first few $5 to $10, working hard, scraping hard. In the same time, I was working a 9 to 5 job in the logistics role and trying to move up the ladder, the corporate ladder, right? You know how difficult that can seem. It's not a mom and pop shop. And then you have somebody in front of you who maybe won't retire, or somebody who's not giving up that position, or there's no more roles underneath that. And that's what ended up happening to me. I got exhausted. I got very tired, and I was very underappreciated, undervalued, respected, one thing, but it's another thing to be valued more higher in the company. And all of these considerations, the company was already going down under. So I had to figure out a way to supplement my income. Do I go back to school and finish about another year of university? Do I go and learn and get more certifications? Because I already have plenty of them. I already worked in a lot of different fields up to that point. And so I then thought, what could be my alternatives? And that's when I started hearing about, hey, there are these ways to do things digitally, grow a business online. And that's how I kind of got into things. And it didn't happen within a year, not even in a year and a half. It happened over time. And like many of us, we have to work hard at something. Not everything is given to us. Here's a very profitable business, or here's something you don't have to start from scratch. You don't have to build the foundations to it. We already have somebody that can bring you in. So I had to work a lot of hard nights, days and nights especially because I was doing a lot of blogging back in the days. Yes, and I will get back to you, each and every one of you who have emailed me. Appreciate your response. Thank you very much. I know I get a lot of responses, a lot of people that need help. So I'm continuously trying to create the content while trying to reply back to emails. So if you submitted a questionnaire too, please be patient. I will get back to you. I saw plenty of them come in before the weekend and on the weekend. So kudos to you guys who took some time on a Saturday to go through my form and fill it out. But for those of you who are repelled to do it, it's going to cost you a lot, because what I have, and those of you who do not know what I'm talking about, I created a questionnaire. It's a very streamlined process where you can fill out your details literally in less than 30 seconds if you have everything in there. It's very safe and secure. And what I'll do is I'll evaluate it, analyze it, and give you a proper response back on your best funding option and options, very thoroughly broken down. And even some numbers, some ballpark numbers, if they make sense to put in there. And if they don't, they won't always fit. So, and I'll always give you pro tips, examples, a conclusion, and like a roadmap on what to do. So that I'll leave down below in the description. Make sure to check that out. And this will save you a lot of time from making all these mistakes, going through all this fluff in theory, people over-promising, under-delivering. And there are circumstances where the market's changed, so I'm always keeping up to date with it. And if there's something, I'll let you know, and I'll update you on it, what perhaps these lenders are up to and how I have these relationships with them, the underwriters, and so forth. Now, I'm going to jump into the share screen. But again, just to reemphasize, we're going to go over how you can go in and make these payments. And I made sure I wrote it down because there's a few bit of lines that I gathered that you should be taking care of. And so I put other notes as well, so I make sure I don't miss anything here. 1 second. What you're looking at is the make a payment for the SBA site here. Okay. When you're going through SBA.gov, and then you go through their pay. So SBA.gov/pay, although they have kind of removed some of these pages, so you may get a 404. You can do a quick type into Google and type in make a payment to the SBA. And I'm sure if you've done this before in the past, it'll look very familiar. And it does to me too. And I know it's very simple for a lot of you, but for some of us, it's, well, oh, this is what we have to do, or I need a refresher on where to go. And there'll be a little bit more to this. So make a payment to the SBA. It's right here. And one more thing, in case I didn't mention, and I know I did, but I want to reemphasize for those of you who are like, where can I go and apply for an EIDL loan? Can you help me? I get it every day. I get multiple amounts of people sending me emails. Can you help get my EIDL loan processed? Can you help me start an application? As well as so much more that comes in that I can't really disclose. But right now, you cannot start a new application. You cannot just get your EIDL loan approved, even if you submitted a reconsideration. Perhaps you were one of the 40,000 plus that were denied for reconsideration. That's how many they were disapproving for. And perhaps you haven't received follow-up communication. For anything, make sure you're checking your emails, because that's where a lot of the communication comes in right now. and you're going through your spam box, you're going through all the folders. So let's get through this part, and then we'll get through the alternatives to this SBA EIDL loan, as well as like the grant opportunities and the stuff that I put here together for you. So you're going to want to go through the CAF's borrower portal. And right here is where you see it. You're going to create your account. If you haven't already, you should by now. Existing borrowers should create an account on the SBA Capital Access Financial System, CAFS. That's kweb.sba.gov. And I've said this in the past before. I've reemphasized the CAF site. Well, for my purposes, I can't really go through all this. I can't disclose that on my end. I don't want to show a lot of private information, obviously. So right here is what you want to do. And it says not enrolled, forgot password phrase, forgot username, because who doesn't forget their username and password, especially their password? The user ID, password phrase, and then you see the disclaimer there, and then you can, we'll go back to this page. But that's where you're going to want to go through, which I've been through myself. So here it says right here, to monitor the status of the following types, in case you didn't know this, all SBA disaster loans, including COVID-19 EIDL and physical loss loans, payment, paycheck protection program, or payment, 7A loans, F504 loans, and then microloans. And then underneath there, it says get CAF's account enrollment instructions. So you can always click here if you need help understanding how to enroll. And there will be a quick download PDF. You guys can't see it right now on my screen, but it'll show you what you need to do. And this is far beyond this segment. So we're going to go back to this page because most likely you already have a CAF's account. So I'm not spending a lot of time showing you what it would look like and how to get it started, perhaps in another video in due time. So right here for COVID-19 EIDL borrowers, the application portal, also known as Rapid Portal, said this before, is closed. COVID-19 EIDL borrowers must create a new CAF's borrower portal account to view their monthly loan statement. Monthly email reminders will be sent, but borrowers must create a CAF's borrower portal account to view the payment due date and the amount. That's the most important part right now you guys should be taking care of. It's one thing you understand how much of a payment, but first you need to understand where to locate that payment. That's what we're going over right here. How to check the balance and due date on your SBA loan right here is second. SBA loan borrowers and other funding recipients can check their account balances and payment due date in the Capital Access Financial System, which is CAFS for short. And again, that is the KWeb portal. Find out how to set up an account in the CAFS system. For COVID-19 EIDL borrowers, your first payment is due 30 months from the date of the original note. 30 months. The note can be found in your original loan closing documents that you should have already on hand. The date of the note is located at the top right of the front page of the permissionary note. Note, due to privacy restrictions, pay.gov does not have access to your SBA loan information, okay? So make sure you guys understand that part. A lot of you are looking for this. It won't be there. Your loan balance and account details such as interest and due date are not available on pay.gov's website or from pay.gov help desk staff. Now, this next part is how to find your loan number. Borrowers can locate their loan number by creating a borrower portal in CAFS. Again, it goes back to that system. And I may show you guys quickly what it looks like to go through it. For COVID-19 EIDL borrowers, your loan number might be on a statement or letter from the SBA. It is not the same as your application number. So don't get those two mixed and thinking that it's the same thing. If you do not have a letter or statement, please contact the SBA COVID-19 EIDL Customer Service Center and the elusive numbers that they give you, and it's not always as easy to get a hold of them. Make payments. There are several options for you to make a payment to the SBA. I've said this before in recent videos, but I want to show you guys what it'll actually look like right here. Make an online payment at pay.gov, which is preferred. So if you were to click here, see how it brings you to the pay.gov site, and then you can go down here to make a loan payment. But you'll also see what would you like to do, as in pay a medical expense, pay a debt, pay an FOIA request, request for training or a conference. You have pay a fine, violation, or penalty, and a few more others. So you can click on see all loan options, and you'll want to go to your 1201 borrower payments. Right here, it'll say description. Borrowers use this form to pay your SBA service loan payments. That's really the point you have to get there, including economic injury disaster loans, EIDL, and other non-COVID disaster loans. The 10-digit SBA loan number and payment amount are required to complete this form. So make sure you have that, as we spoke about the differences there. Do not use this form to pay the payroll protection program. Do not mix that. I know there's already been a lot of fraudulent activity and people entering the wrong information. Perhaps you didn't enter the wrong information when it came to the 4506T form, but unfortunately, there was a lot of mix-up, not the right fields missing. And so this is what pushed back, if you didn't hear me from last week speaking about why a big reason why the EIDL loans had been shut down, and why also a lot of people hadn't been processed, and why there had been those big jumps in pauses and being approved, is because of the 4506T form, the tax transcripts. And so those are a big fault to do. And there are a few other forms out there, but the 4506T is the primary reason for a lot of the things that have happened. Now, let me come back into this. Do not use this as the payroll protection program loans, shuttered venue operators grants, or EIDL advances / grants. For more information, you can see below form number 1201, Agency Small Business Administration SBA. And then you have other forms over here like the BIA loans, and it'll give you a description on what to use them for. But I just showed you the one you want. You have the Certified Development Company, CDC / 504 loan payments, description, Certified Development Companies. That might not be one you have to worry about, at least at this moment, if you don't have a 504 loan. And it's a little bit harder to get that 504 / CDC. And I'm going to have content coming out here soon on commercial real estate, property mortgages, as well as it going through the SBA 7A. But you can see a whole list, and you can even go to the second page and so forth. So now let me backspace here, and we'll come back to the original page. See, I just showed you where to go to pay.gov, search for the SBA Form 1201 borrower payment. And I would say even the third step is make sure you read the description. Don't just click. Make sure you're in the right one, which you already know, and then see if anything else has changed, what kind of things they don't want you to do, and it'll be shown there. Submit payment using SBA Form 1201 borrower payment using one of the following accepted online payment methods. You have your ACH bank account, PayPal account, or debit card. All right, so you have flexibility to do that. Use online bill pay through your personal banking account. You can add U.S. Small Business Administration as a payee on your personal online banking account, so that's pretty cool. Enter your 10-digit loan number as the account number. No, your loan number is not, again, it's not the same as the application number you were given. So don't be quick to just enter any kind of information, because we all know the process now with the SBA. We know one thing, it was a cause of the 4506T forms, Not a lot of people understand how those work. I do, but I don't want to get into the specifics. But just make sure you don't put the wrong number or wrong information anywhere, because that can delay, and you don't want to be waiting. Even if it were 2 to 3 weeks, you don't want to wait that long for them to give you a response. So back to this form, and then we'll go around to another segment. If you need to enter a payment address, enter your PO Box 319, Portland, Oregon. This one is specific. If you need to enter a telephone number, enter the telephone number found on the front of your statement. Set up an electronic once-time recurring payment using your bank's bill pay service. Mail your payment. Make payments by check or money order payable to the U.S. Small Business Administration. So very key detail there. You don't want to put the payroll protection program or anything else of that nature. You don't want to put like employee retention credit. Enter your 10-digit SBA loan number in the memo field on your check or money order. Step 3, mail your payments to, here we are again, U.S. Small Business Administration, P.O. Box, you would see that. Create a pay.gov account. While you can pay without logging into a pay.gov user account, it is recommended that you create an account. Having a user account lets you set up recurring payments, track payment methods, cancel pending payments, change recurring payments, and updates your address with the SBA. And one other thing that I wanted to make a mention of, and why this part is very important, I'll come back to this in just a second, but the SBA is improving their customer portal. They're trying to make everything as an all-in-one platform. What I mean by that is they want to make sure you have all types of COVID relief programs. You understand where to go locate your payments, where to go submit in a letter or an email. That's what happens when you have milk. And they want you to understand where to go find all this information without having to go to different websites and having to go to a different email address there, and then having to find out that this email address, you only could find it over here through this third party. And then, So they're trying to keep everything all in one, and I want to make sure you guys understood that, from everything to applying all of your accounts and so forth. So it'll make it a lot easier. Sorry if you hear that phone ringing. I have a few clients that I'm going to get a hold of after this live is over. Appreciate you all for still being here with me. So we see the specific loan types. I won't take too much time on that, but partial payment instructions are right there. Enter your 10-digit full repayment instructions. Make sure you just read this. Daily accrued interest and repayment of any uniform commercial code, UCC fees paid. Request a payoff amount prior to submitting a payment on this 1201 borrower payment form by contacting the service office listed on your monthly 1201 borrower statement. So you should be able to find that rather easily. If you do not have a statement, please contact the SBA COVID-19 EIDL customer service, and you see that number there. So the Paycheck Protection Program and a few for the other ones, as we saw in the other portal. Get help. You can see that there if you need anything, and I can help you as well with all of this. So I'm going to transition away from that screen, and now we're going to go into, let me see, I have, before I go into the grant section, I want to make sure. Okay, so I'm going to move this screen over now so you can see another one. Now, what you're looking at is a page you've probably seen in the past. And if you have, please be patient and stick with me. Or you may think this isn't the segment because you've already heard this, but it'll help refresh your mind on how to get a 90% approval with one of the fastest, easiest, and simple SBA process out there on the market today. And I don't say that rather lightly like it's a marketing thing. I say that because it is the truth. I'm getting right now a load of SBA 7A applicants, as well as a merge between the 7A and the 504. The 504 has changed a bit, the amount that you can even get up to. And so this is why there are SBA 7A commercial real estate programs. And I'm going to try to come out with content on that this week as I have it planned, if not next week, on the SBA 7A commercial real estate. What are the qualifications? What's the underwriting process like? What are the steps? And what is an alternative you can get to commercial real estate if you don't get it through the SBA 7A? Perhaps you go the traditional real estate financing route with commercial property mortgage. And I'm going to go into some of those steps later on, not in this video, but back to this one. So I have a product here. It's one of the newest ones out there in the market, and it's a very popular one. A lot of people right now are getting approved, by myself, but everybody else included. And I recommend this one as being the best to start with because it is two separate loans. It's two separate loans. It's called the Hybrid SBA 7A, not the other one people would call it is hybrid. I'd call it hybrid, kind of a hybrid and a bridge between different loans. So yes, you can call it that. And what it has here is it's two separate loans. One is an unsecured financing product, which is a term loan, the line of credit, or the cash advance, which can be funded easily and quickly. The other loan is a 10-year SBA term loan, which we can get a letter of intent within a couple of days, but it takes 6 to 8 weeks for you actually to receive your funds. So let me back up here what I mean. So when I said two separate loans, you can get a cash advance, which is technically not a loan. It's an advance against your future receivables, which a lot of you already have or have heard of and are trying to move away from. But it isn't as easy unless you pay off all positions and somebody comes in on a first position, especially if it's a monthly or on a weekly, if you're already on a daily. They want you to really pay everything off. But if it's a cash advance, if you have multiple positions, you get a reduced amount. And we get that in our underwriting, our feedback. But one of them is a term loan with 1 to 2 years. That's a very common amount of time people can get. You can sometimes get 2 to 10 years with unsecured term loans, but it's very uncommon now in today's market. It could change later on, but just know 1 to 2 years should be adequate enough for enough people to use it as bridge money. If you're trying to get an SBA 7A loan with up to 10 years for working capital is usually what it is. It can be dispersed in 5, 7 to 10 year repayment for working capital. And this should be used to fuel business growth and expansion. It should not be used primarily for COVID relief. A lot of you guys have reasons to use money for business operational expenses. You have to make payroll. You have to do all of these things to cover you within the next week, within the next 2 weeks. And if I didn't get my money, it would be very terrible. I'm going to have to shut down, go declare bankruptcy, go through all this stuff later on. Maybe you've already gone through foreclosures, you already have liens, and you still have to think about all of this, and they can add a lot of stress. So if you're looking for COVID relief that is not the SBA 7A primarily used for funds, it can be a conjunction of it. But primarily, we want to see, hey, do we have enough reason for us to fund a bigger project or projects? Do you have bigger pieces of equipment, bigger inventory, bigger marketing and advertising projects? What is it already that's working now? What are your ratios? What are you putting in and getting out? What is the return on your investment, short and or long term? So these are the questions we ask, the lenders will ask, and you have to ask of yourself in your own business, am I profitable? That's what the SBA 7A is looking at. They want to see that you are profitable within the last at least 2 years. And sometimes it's within 10% profitability, but really any kind of profitability is what we look at in the last 2 years. And we can see a percentage combination of the two. So non-profitable businesses, this wouldn't really qualify you for, and you can check out the separate unsecured term loan, the line of credit, and or the cash advance. And then there's other forms of financing that I do too, which is asset-based. And I work with all. If you guys are wondering, do I work with direct lenders? Yes, I do work with direct lenders. But there are instances where you need to work with a specific brokerage, or you need to work with a company that can find you multiple offers while not sending it to everybody and not doing that without having to hurt your credit score, because it won't do that. And a lot of this is a soft pull. SBAs are usually hard pulls, just so you know. Other forms of unsecured financing can be soft. And if we need to look deeper into the profile, we'll have to ask. And then we can continue from there. But just be aware that of all these procedures, you have to have the right funding details. You need to have the right FICO. And I'll get into some of the requirements right now with this SBA 7A loan, used again to fuel your business's growth and expansion, not just primarily using it for COVID relief. I need to clear out $400,000 in debt for my credit cards, and then I need to use it for building maintenance. That isn't going to produce for you a return on your investment, but you're asking for 5 to 25-year terms. That just wouldn't make much sense to any of us. And even if your primary use of funds was just for payroll, that's the worst reason they're going to want to fund you for this. This should be the last thing. The other ways should be, again, like I said, bigger projects, bigger things that are going to give you a bigger return on your investment in the long term. Not necessarily wouldn't it give it to you in the short term, but you're looking at more of a long-term play with these SBA 7A loans. So our SBA loans go up to $5 million. A business needs to be generating at least $120K a year in gross revenue, and this is for the hybrid SBA 7A loan. So I'm going to pause right there. $120K to be looked at for the unsecured financing products like the term loan, line of credit, or cash advance. But primarily speaking, you want to be doing upwards of $400,000 to $500,000 with the SBA 7A. $400,000 really can get you in, but $500,000 is what we look at in annual revenue. So if you're doing anything less than that, and you're probably in a position where you're trying to acquire a business, perhaps you are a sole proprietor, or you're established under a different entity, you're running everything through your personal name, that's another red flag. It really wouldn't work. It doesn't matter if I've checked the profitability of another business. I've gone through all the paperwork. I've gone through the tax returns, the year-to-date financials. I've done my calculations on profitability if I needed to. Cost of goods sold, business expenses, gross revenue, net income. I can check all of this, but until you have come with these details, then it's going to be very difficult for you to get qualified to go through an SBA 7A loan. And so I'm going to go into a little bit more of them, but you want to have at least, here, let me go back to this one because it pertains to the SBA hybrid. So you want to have at least a 660 FICO. So again, you need to be generating $120K a year. And this is for getting you even in with the unsecured term loan options. You want to realistically be doing over $400,000, $500,000 plus annually to get even in the range of an SBA 7A loan. In addition, we will need to see 3 most recent business tax returns and 3 most recent years and year-to-date financial statements. The SBA goes primarily off of credit score and profitability of your business. So they check it. We check the debt you're able to service. So it's a debt to service ratio that we were able to calculate. And if it's above a 1.25, the higher the better. Anything underneath it doesn't mean it doesn't really mean you have enough to be able to service the debt, to service that repayment that needs to be given back. So if it doesn't look good, that's a big reason. And so credit is what gets a lot of people. Make sure you have it spotless. It's like bank spotless. You've cleared up your debt. You're making your payments on time. No late payments within the last 30, 60, 90 plus days. You don't have anything outstanding. No liens, no open liens, all these federal tax liens, bankruptcies, foreclosures, child support, inquiries. You have 3 to 4, even that in the last 30 to 60 days will count you out. You have your debt to income ratio is just way too high. You have your credit utilization rate is beyond what we can help. We don't want to see any of that. So before you go into anything with the SBA 7A loan, if you need a workaround and you need to understand how to fix your credit, if that's the point we have to get to, then I can help with that. I can help you get your credit repaired. And if that's something you're considering, I'll try to leave you a form down below. And if not, leave me a comment, reply back via email. You'll have information down below, but also submit that questionnaire if you haven't. And we'll get your credit profile looking clean. We'll get this stuff disputed. We'll get it out of the way. We'll work with the most recent system that can actually help dispute things correctly without having to get things returned and then sent back time and time again, because at that point, you've already wasted another 30, 60 to 90 days. That's how it ends up happening to a lot of people. I've been there. And so take the time to understand your credit reports, your consumer credit reports, and I'm going to get into business credit here in a moment. But all of this information, again, guys, please refer to the description for more. So the SBA goes primarily off of credit score and profitability. I said at least 2 years of profitability. Sometimes the requirement is $500,000 in annual revenue in most cases, and then you're going to see at least 10% profitability of the business. To some degree, it does matter. So benefits, monthly repayment, fixed interest, but could be variable interest as the market keeps shifting right now. Sometimes every 90 days per quarter if need be. And then right here it says prime rates, plus 1 to about 3%. So more like 7 to 9.5 or 7 to 10%. It's kind of moved a little bit. And that's considering it being fixed. If it's variable, you can even see it a little bit higher above 9 and 10%, especially where our market's going, but the interest rates continue to go up. So you just need 2 years of profitability with this and underwriting as well. There's more. Credit is what gets people. So SBA 7A loans are based on profit, at least 10%. If not, at least show profitability within the last 2 years. We can look at it and see if it's industry specific and what kind of requirements we would need and what has been proven in the past as well to work and what can be working as well in the future, because future projections in an industry is very important. Low debt, low credit utilization, minimal inquiries, nothing bad on your credit reports, and so on. Over here, plus you have to demonstrate significant use for funds for growth and expansion and not just recovery like the EIDL loan. You'll need a 155 plus FICO SBSS score, which is business liquid credit, which is a way that we're able to assess your personal and compare it to your business credit in a way you wouldn't have seen before. So, but sometimes you can override the 155 FICO SBSS business liquid credit when you're getting over 350K in funding, and even sometimes underneath that, but you have to have a very clean consumer credit. And so with that being said, and that on top of the revenue profitability can make up for the fact that you don't have so high of a FICO SBSS score just built just yet. So you can show strength in business experience like you have in your FICO credit, revenue, and more. And the documents that I would need for this, if we were to proceed forward, I'd need 2021 business bank statements. And again, that is respective to the year we are in. So within the next years, you know how that can go. We need 2022 and so forth. 2020 and 2021 profit and loss and balance sheets, year-to-date profit and loss and balance sheets, at least through Q1. And this is the stuff that I get. So you can send it over to me and I'll verify and I'll make sure everything looks good. Previous 3 years of business and personal tax returns, aging AR/AP reports, business debt schedule, application sent via HelloSign. I haven't attached it yet to this email, or I'll tell you that I've attached it if it's a part of an email. And then you'll see that application that fill out and then just send it back to me with the rest of the documentation. Now, this is the most important part. If you meet these requirements, let me come back over here. If you meet the requirements for the SBA 7A loan, You heard me say it earlier, and if you need to rewind this to understand what the qualifications are, if you're just tuning in, profitability, at least the last 2 years of profitability. Sometimes we require you to have 10% profitability. Revenue wise, yes, the entrance is 120K, but that's considering that we're evaluating you for the unsecured term loan, the line of credit, and or the cash advance on top of the SBA 7A loan, which primarily you should be doing over 400, over 500,000 really to be considered. If you're doing in the million and above in annual revenue, awesome. That's really what the SBA 7A wants to see. If you're anything over 500,000 underneath a million, that's okay. But just know that there shouldn't be fluctuations. There should be a lot of profitability or enough of it, and also industry wise for us to be considered for this program. And then your credit needs to look spotless. So if you need to get that fixed, that's something that I would do. And I have a lot of applicants right now who I've sent to credit repair, whether it's the SBA 7A loan or not, who are coming back to me and being thankful that, hey, I just got this all disputed. I had 3 things that I needed to dispute, and I raised my credit score from a 620 up to about a 670, 680, or wherever it needs to be. Boom. Now we turn around and we come back. We either start the process or we continue where we left off. A lot of the times we have to restart. We might need some new bank statements, some new documentation, and then we can proceed forward. But that's how we get things done. Not, well, I can't get approved. Well, my world is over. No, it isn't. So back to the screen here. So if you meet these requirements and are willing to be patient enough to send me your documentation via emails for what's asked for right above, and you don't mind waiting months to get the funds from the SBA, then you can explore this option. But again, what I want you to know is don't be a tire kicker, don't be an energy waster, and everything like a headache. Because, and I say this not in a negative way, I'm not saying you are. What I'm saying is I deal with a lot of people who can't get approved by the SBA. They come in and they go out like, good, approved, underwriting, boom, next steps. We're all communicating, we're talking, we know what's happening. And then, boom, person gets their funding all out the door. We communicate again thereafter. We have a great relationship. And then there are other people who come in and go, well, I still need to give you this document. I don't have this. Okay, good. That's fine. You don't need you to have that one. But I would require you to send me this one. And then months pass, and then a week, 2 weeks, no feedback whatsoever. I've been trying to respond back. Sometimes it's because you don't have that yet, so you're trying to get it worked on, and I can understand that. We communicated about it. But without feedback, you're leaving me in the dark. So don't be upset if I send you a quick email. Hey, just wanted to see if everything was going well. How are you doing? I also wanted to make sure and see if you were still interested in getting the rest of the documentation sent for me so we can evaluate you for the SBA loan. And then nobody responds back. Well, you're doing this to yourself. And see, you've dug yourself a hole now that you're trying to get out of, and you're trying to, it's like when I'm trying to go up to the top of the water, like I'm already reaching the water and I'm looking out, you're underneath me, you're just trying to drag me down under. I can't let that happen. Nobody's going to take advantage of me. I don't let anybody do that, not even my younger brother. And so what I want you to know is I'm going to care for you. I'm going to care about your profile at the end of the day. It's about you first, the human. Who are you? I want to know who you are. And then second, how can I help you with your business? That comes next. And that's when I've been able to provide myself with viral funding solutions. And if you need that kind of help from a professional expert, then I'm the person to go to, because I am a business loan broker / agent who works in between helping these lenders and so forth. Now, let me come back to this screen. So if you're willing to be patient enough, do that. And if you're not, don't mind waiting the time, okay. But I recommend people go, okay, well, I don't want this option. I don't want to wait 4 to 6 plus or however many months I need. Can I get the funding? Yeah, we can evaluate you for the unsecured term loan, line of credit, or cash advance. Well, I don't want a high enough repayments. I don't want to be paying 20%, 30% interest, which I understand. And if you're a higher tier client with a paper lending, like the best details out there, then I can understand that. And if you don't necessarily need the money right this second, that's fine. But I still recommend you go down through this route so you at least have a better understanding of how the programs work. And so you can see, oh, I didn't want an unsecured line of credit, but I know how it works. Right? I know what I have to do. I know the process. And even if you don't want that, we can go in a different direction, and there are other SBA type of options. So let's see over here. I see a comment. I've sent you an email regarding the startup loan with no response. How are you doing, Stanley? Welcome in. So I want to say this to yourself and everybody else in here watching. I know I've said this in the past. I don't want to sound redundant. And if you've heard me say this, you already know what I'm going to say before it. I will get back to you in a respectful time. The difference between working with me and you work with somebody else who runs with 30 different, I don't know, agents or whatever they're doing, you get a professional. Yes, I get flooded with a lot of emails. I get flooded with a lot of questionnaires. So please be patient with me. And I say that in a very good manner. Just don't expect like a quick, once you send the email and boom, a minute later you get a response, because I'm not doing always administrative tasks. Today on my schedule, I have right here, look at all the things that I have to get done. And that's not even everything considering what I have online and this on top of that. And so over here, I have them by the time, wake up by this time from 7:30 to 8:15, this needs to get done. From 8:15 to about 8:40, this needs to be completed. From 9 to 10, I need to be done with this. From 10 to 10:30 or 10 to 11 right here, it needs to get done with all these follow-ups. And then from 11 to about 12 or so, I need to be doing this. 11:30 to 12 is my break. And then after that, then I'm going to have to go live, which you found me in here today. And then secondly, 2 to 3 today should be my time that I respond to emails if I can get around to it. Hopefully I do. So please be patient with me. You're working with one of the best people that are out there. And I don't say that to sound cocky or anything, but I'm very confident in what I do. And just so you're careful about going to people who aren't giving you like, they're giving you this, they're giving you that. You're not seeing much of the information. You're not getting in-depth knowledge in the space and how it actually works. You're actually getting an education with me. I've seen brokers out there. It was ridiculous. I know I'm not going to say their name. I saw one of the biggest people in the space that, made a post somewhere that was very provocative, contradicting, which is good, prolific, and against the grain, because that's what actually helps. I understand that, but it wasn't a very good post that they made. And it had no way, shape, or form had to do anything with lending or had nothing to do with, like, it was a pretty bad post. I didn't appreciate it. Maybe they were trying to do it for views. It did work, but it had no merit. It was just, you had to be careful when people were posting like that. And I just didn't like what they were doing. Let me come back over here to the comments. 1 second. Yeah, hey, how are you doing? Yeah, if you have the time, I know you're busy, but aren't we all? So when you can find a little bit of time, just submit some paperwork, whether it's 15 to 20 minutes, that's good. But if you're taking, what I say is when you're taking that extra week, that extra 2 weeks, when you already have the documents and you're making excuses because I'm busy, I don't get off of work till 5, and then I got to go take care of my kids. I get all that. I got to hang out with the spouse, and then I have to attend to her needs or his needs. But you have to make time for that, and you have to be disciplined, and you have to understand that if I'm going to submit information, the faster the better, because with these SBA loans, especially, you're waiting months on months to get approved. And if you needed the funds right away, you're taking too long. And you're waiting and you're waiting. And then this ends up becoming a game of, I'm not going to chase you, right? I'm going to remind you maybe a week from now and be like, hey, are you still interested? Via a text, via an email, usually not a phone call like that. Excuse me. But I am not going to go chasing you. And this goes for everybody. If you're going to continue to make other people's life painful, that's the honest truth. I'm making it very simple and easy for you. I hope you can reciprocate it back and we can go through this. Not saying that I don't want to fix any problems, because that's what I want. I want to help fix your problems. If there's something you need to download, like I helped a client out who called me today, and I have to call him back here soon. He needed help downloading his bank statements. And some of us are not technologically the best at things. So I, showed him how to do this. I took a little bit of time figuring out a few extra steps for him, who was downloading this for him. That's okay. But what I mean is, you already know how to do all this, but you're just there like a sitting duck. You actually have 30 minutes to sit on the couch and do this. I'll get back to it tomorrow. And then tomorrow never comes. Tomorrow turns into 8 o'clock. And now you're in this situation where I just lost you. Like, I don't, like, I have to help people who need help, not people who think they need help. There's a big difference between thinking and actually knowing you need it. So once we get away from just thinking to knowing, that's why I give you guys all this educational content. You guys understand what to do. Now I have another comment here. Sorry guys, if it gets dark in here, it's because I have this HP enhanced lighting. I'm going to go through email first. I want to see a few things. And then if it makes sense to get on a phone call, then I will. That's why everybody in here, I have that questionnaire form. The reason why that questionnaire form, it serves a huge purpose for me. You see other people go, well, they give me a phone call. They have this and that. Yeah, but it could be a lot of time and energy zapped. I get a phone call, has a good place, and it does a lot. But these questionnaire forms, I want to be able to get a bird's eye view. What is your time in business? What is your FICO? What is your revenue? What is your annual gross sales? What does your average daily bank balance look like? Because I can get all this done in a phone call, but if it's not going to really move the needle for us or isn't going to do anything good, maybe it's not about getting the funding necessarily, but if it's always based on emotional rather than the emotion and the logic of it, it's hard for me to want to get on a phone call all the time. So I hope you guys can understand my time and how precious I keep that and I protect it. So we can evaluate you for a term loan, the cash advance, and this is with the hybrid SBA loan. Let me see over here. See another comment. 1 second. Scotty, it is in the description. It should be in there right now. Now, this is, again, going back to the hybrid SBA 7A loan that we've been speaking about. So we can evaluate you for the term loan, cash advance, or the line of credit, so we can get those funds earlier. And in the meantime, we're still evaluating you for the SBA. And if you're approved for the SBA, you can use that to pay off the existing amount you have in the others. So let's say, for an example, which I have plenty of people right now who took offers and some of them haven't. I have a client, let's say, who took $130,000. They got $130,000 in a line of credit for 12 months at a 1.2 interest rate, because unsecured lines of credits go 1 to 3% per month. And you were given 12 months, you were assessed a risk factor of 1.19 or 1.2. So you're given 12% over the 12 months. And a line of credit, if you're unsure how that works, it's a revolving line. You can use those funds as you choose, and then you can pull out as much for what you get approved. So if you got approved for $150K, but you only need to use 10,000 of it one season, 1 week for whatever projects, then you only use that 10,000 and you only pay interest on that. And once you pay off the interest, and there's a draw fee to all this, it can be usually between 0 to 3% on top of the interest that we amortize. These are our calculations that we do, and we see how much you actually have to repay back depending on a week-to-week basis. That if it stays the same, yes, but then second, if you withdrew more, it's added interest on top of that. So if you withdraw 10,000, you only pay interest on that amount. And once you completely pay it off, it doesn't have to be done in 12 months exactly. If you pay it off early, the better. Of course you want to do that. You don't want to have $10,000 spread over 12 months. It just wouldn't make sense. You're accruing interest, and that's how it can build up. So what you want to do is pay it off as soon as possible, and then that 10,000 goes back in the original 130. So it's 130,000 again. It's not 120K, and there are a lot more stuff. So I'll leave lines of credit content down below. But let's come back to this. Oh, but the major reason why I brought it up, you get approved for the EIDL loan. 12 months of a line of credit is spectacular, incredible. I know it's not like bank rates, but 12%. And think about it like this. You got the EIDL loan, probably $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, however much it is, 400,000. You're taking that and you're paying off the line of credit. You're using the line of credit as bridge money in the meantime for what you need. And then you're taking the SBA and paying it off. And then instead of having it for 12 months, perhaps you had it for only 6 months at 6% interest. That's incredible. So it's not 12%. It then comes down to like 6%. Now, if it were 2%, you have to do the numbers there and it goes backwards. So you are welcome. And let me come back to this. Separately below with their individual services, I spoke a little bit about how you can see these, and I have them. Usually I send all this in an email so you can see all this. Term loans usually 1 to 2 years. It's 1 to 3% interest per month, and a line of credit can be 1 to 3% per month. The cash advance being 6 to 24 months, and usually you see somewhere between like 1.19 to 1.5 or so. Varies lender to lender. But yeah, you can think about that as being 19 to 50. Sometimes there's 19 to 70% and above. But it's less about the interest in a lot of cases. It's about the benefit. Your benefit has to exceed your repayment, and if that makes sense, of course, you're gonna triple, quadruple, double your ROI in the next 3, 6 months. Even if you were just given 8 months in a cash advance and that's all you could qualify for, what are you doing with it in 8 months? Are you sitting on it? Or are you taking that 30, 40, 50,000 you were approved for in a cash advance and then turning that into 60, 70, 80,000 even before the 6 months are up? No prepayment penalty, early payment discounts. Boom, done. Pay it off. Done. Bridge your cash flow. Cash flow is doing better now. And that's also based on the affordability. So if you can afford to repay it back and it makes sense, then you move forward with it. But you don't give these complaints like, oh, I was given 8 months, I didn't get the terms that I wanted. And there are circumstances where, hey, I needed 10 months. I had a bigger project and I didn't get the months that I needed or even the years. But if I have 8 months, if I have 12 months, I have 15 months, what am I doing with that? Well, I'm just using it to pay payroll and I have building maintenance and maybe I'll get a new vehicle, but I don't even know what that would do. Like, you don't understand the return on that investment. You don't even know the projection of the numbers based off of a pattern or based off of this new project you're going into. Like, yeah, that's scary having a $300, $400 a day payment, $500, $600 a day payment when you don't even understand what you're using that money for, one. And then two, if you're even going to get a greater return on your investment, even a lesser return, is your revenue going to go up? Is it going to go down as a result of taking this? A lot of you guys have to sit down and think about it. And if you don't qualify for a line of credit because of credit issues or because you're over leveraged, you probably have like 3-4 positions already in a cash advance. You're over leveraged. We can't come in and give you a line of credit for that reason. It's probably a spotless profile, or maybe you just removed a couple of late payments and that's a reason why it doesn't work. But you have to be understanding of how all this works. So down here, so if you can please send me all the above documentation, I greatly appreciate you. You can reply back to this email with it all, and there will be an email usually I send you this. In the next part, you'll still have to submit the application for our in-house, so we have that on file, and I'll show you a little of the instructions, some other SBA loan options that I may say it's not the best. So don't look at them. You can look at them, but just don't start with them. And you can see up an application. You may be able to get started digitally. A lot of it can be done digitally and or PDF. I'll send you a PDF. So you can fill that out, get the documentation sent over to me so I can send it over to the lender, and then we can continue moving forward. So with that being said, let me see here. Let me go to the grant section, and then we'll try to close up after this. So just so you guys know, if you're looking for grants for community organizations, there are plenty of them. And you can go through the government website with the SBA.gov, and you can find plenty of them. I won't take time right now to speak about all of them, but you can see right here, organizations supporting veteran-owned small businesses, and I've been getting questions to this a lot. So Boost to Business is funding opportunities addressed exclusively to Boost to Businesses grantees. Through this program, the SBA supports your organization for a period of 5 years. And you can click there to learn more about the B2B. And I will have more information on all this down below. So there's some information. Oh, you guys can't see that screen. But it'll open up a new screen where you can see that. And then down here, Veteran Business Outreach Centers, Veteran Federal Procurement Entrepreneur Training, and Women Veteran Entrepreneurship Training Program. So you'll want to dive into those. Minority-owned women businesses are taking a hard hit right now. It is a little bit difficult for them to receive funding, let alone have the funds allocated to them. And then the second thing here, organizations supporting small business innovation. And I've spoken about this one before, the SBIR STTR program. You can learn more about that right there. And then resource partners, you can learn a little bit about that. So you can go through government websites through the SBA to learn more about the grant opportunities through there. Okay. Now let me open up a new screen and we'll kind of close up shop here. So the site you guys want to go to, just if in case I didn't say this, is go to grants.gov. And then another thing you guys can do is there's a few other ones, but you can go through the Google and then type in SSBCI, next to it your state. So SSBCI Washington, SSBCI California. Some states are still, waiting to get their funds allocated through these organizations, through that Treasury Department. And so that's what you guys can go and do on top of grants.gov. There's a few other ones as well. And there is the SSBCI program where a lot of funds are being allocated per state. So make sure to see if there's organizations. And if not, I'll keep you guys up to date with which ones, because there's more still being released. And then I'll have a grant section down below in the description. Let me see the comments here. Good question. So Scotty here is asking, what does your credit score have to be? And in pertaining to the SBA 7A loan, I know I said at 660, and that's putting it rather mildly. That's kind of like getting into the unsecured financing options. What you really want to be doing is a 680 and above with the SBA 7A. If not, what I would put a basis on is have a 700, 680 and above, sometimes a 650 with some, sometimes a 660, but it's usually a 680 and above. But more than just the credit score, the consumer credit reports, the business credit bureau reports, this is all the stuff that we have to look at. So that's what you want to base it off of. And in today's market, really, 700 is in a 680. You want to get higher. You want to be in the 710, 715, 20 and above to really help, because anything 680 and below, or just 680 and even 680 to 700 in some cases, you still have something that's showing up that needs to get cleaned. And if it isn't that, we're going to be spending some time trying to go through credit repair or other sources. So let me go over here. Hi, Todd. How are you doing? Yeah, I sent you an email. Have you fully looked through everything and considered all the options? And you're saying, so can you help me out even if I have been denied from the SBA 7A for a 7A loan? So we already went through this, so I won't say more to it. You already know, you and I spoke, but this is more for everybody to have an understanding of. So if you've been declined for the SBA 7A for specific reasons, and we spoke about it, I'll tell you like what is the realistic chance of you getting approved for one and why you wouldn't be able to get approved. So I won't spend time on this topic, but just know that if you don't meet the eligibility requirements, and I spoke to you about why you've been declined, we'll just leave it as it is and see, okay, are there other options you would like to explore? And so that's where we're at now. And if we're still going back and forth, and this is for everybody, we're like, well, I wanted the SBA 7A, but I couldn't get it. Here's this option. Well, I didn't want this option. Okay, well, it's another option. Well, you're now over leveraged. You don't have any other options unless you do this. Well, I don't want to do that. It's going to take me a month to 3 months to take care of that. Well, that's the world we live in, and that's what I deal with every day. And not to be negative, it's just how it works. So if many of you are like battling, like, man, I have a guy right now who's telling me, well, I have 30 years in business or whatever. I deserve he didn't say it that way, but I know what he meant. Like, no, you don't deserve. You're not entitled to. Your revenue doesn't speak volume. Your time in business was one thing. Your credit reports say another. Your industry is a whole different complexity we have to deal with. Your average daily bank balances, you're negative. You have chargebacks. How are we going to allow you to get funding if you can't even service the debt? You may have negative days. Like one negative day in the last 3 months can really just turn you down. And sometimes it's like we can have 1 or 2 up to 3 negative days in the last 3 months, but your average daily bank balances need to look high enough for us to overlook the negative days. But if it's the industry as well, you lost a truck, oh, you did this, it's very, very difficult to justify on our end. So now let me come over here. I have comments. Hi, Timothy. How are you doing? He is asking, what are some good lending alternatives? And I'll get into that in just a moment. Now that we're at the end of this video, but let me go and see some tabs here, make sure I covered everything. So very quickly before I answer your question, Timothy, the PPP loans, forgiveness, all that, not a lot has changed on that front, just that a lot of fraudulent activity, even more. releases. It's been crazy. You have the employee retention tax credit. If each one of you are looking to get up to $26,000 per employee for keeping people on your payroll, and it's a payroll tax credit, that's something that does interest you, I'll leave more information down below. A lot of people are going through that program right now like crazy, and that's what I recommend you do. And I won't talk about all the requirements right now in this video, even though I know them all off the top of my head. It's just that video, and then I don't want to spend too much time on it right now. So make sure you guys check that out. I'll leave information more about the employee retention tax credit. Hopefully, I think it's in the description. And then all other services like the SBA EIDL versus this one versus that one versus private lending, unsecured term loans, 7A loans, and so forth. There's a lot more content. So some good lending alternatives already, Timothy, from perhaps you didn't hear this because you're joining me. Let me put this on the screen. This can be a very general, broad way for me to answer it because I don't know your specific details. I can't say specifically like, hey, you should be getting the personal loan. And then if you got a personal loan and you had enough to qualify for an SBA loan for a business acquisition, we can go this route, and then we can take $200,000 we can use as a down payment. But if you don't even meet the qualifications for the SBA loan, that $200,000 in a personal loan wouldn't even make sense for you to go and apply for. What will you do with that $200,000 if you're applying that for a business acquisition? Or that $200,000 will help you in your own business, but you don't need that right now. So there are sources out there like merchant cash advances, where it's just based off of revenue, cash flow, based off of credit card transactions, credit card processing. And then there are hybrid cash advances, where it's not based primarily off of credit transactions or credit and even debit card sales in that format. It's more based on all forms of cash going into your business. So ACH, checks, electronic, some other types of wires, making sure you're doing it correctly, and even credits, transactions, and so forth. So it's an encompass of all of it, but it's based off of just your revenue. We can just look at cash flow, fluctuations, average daily bank balances, non-sufficient funds, if any, negative days, chargebacks, overdrafts, starting and ending bank balances, and all this information that I looked through myself just to make sure you're in the plus. And not only are you in the plus, but how much are you doing? And how much do you have average versus deposits versus your revenue? Because if you have 40,000 in deposits, but you're only doing 30,000 in revenue, and you keep a balance of only 1,000 in your account, we can't give you enough to give you a repayment on that. You barely meet the minimum. Usually underneath 1,000, you're disqualified. That counts as almost like a negative in your bank balance. But if you do 40,000, you keep 40,000 on average daily bank balances. We look at it from a month-to-month basis. We calculate average daily sales. And then I see you're doing 80,000, and it's like, okay, it's looking a lot better. You have an average half of what you are making. Okay, we can actually see if we can loan you about this amount. It's different. And then there are a lot of other services like lines of credits, other SBA loans, asset-based financing, startup personal loans, equipment financing, angel investors, private equity, hedge funds. The list goes on and on. I can be on here for hours, but I'm going to leave it at that. Yeah, you can, in most cases, you can use a guarantor. That's the positive side. What you have to understand, though, is when you're working with partnerships in your own business, who is the majority, who's the minority owner? And then get an understanding of what their credit score is, who's the primary applicant. That's a whole different topic. But yes, guarantors are a possibility. You just have to make sure you make those arrangements with that person. And I know how that can go. I've seen it with other people, not myself. But I see a lot of the backlashes. And if you're not ready to meet the demands of what you're getting yourself into, don't even do it. If you don't think you'll be able to pay off the debt, you don't think you'll be able to make the monthly repayments, you're going to cost yourself a lot of trouble. The relationship you have with that other person, be very, very careful, because I've seen it all. And honestly, I'm going to say this. I've seen it split marriages. I've seen divorces from this, from credit alone. And I know that's not such like a huge thing to a lot of people, but that is. When you see it, and it shows a lot to your spouse. It says, oh, my fiance can't even make payments on time. Or you're trying to get in, you're trying to get married and you're like, well, that just showed a lot. So be very careful about what you're getting yourself into and understand the risks, because I get it. As a business owner, it's high risk, high rewards. It's not low risk, high rewards. You have to be willing to put yourself out there. 401k is another option you guys should seek. 401k, IRA financing, and there are quite a bit more. So yeah, we already covered this question. I just wanted to skip over here. But Todd, hopefully that answered what I had said earlier. And, you know, with all the information I provided with you, you can come back to me with an answer on what your thoughts are on those specific programs, those qualifications. Perhaps you're ready. But when we get to a certain extent and we're having to always revisit, revisiting is fine if there's an update. Revisiting is fine if we just miss something. But always this and this and this with a lot of people that I deal with every day, and it goes nowhere. We end up doing this about a month from now. It's the same thing. 2 months later, you're doing the same thing. Not you specifically. I'm saying it with anybody else. We're revisiting it over and over, and we haven't made any progress. Well, I told you to get your business credit established like this. You come back to me in a month, you haven't done anything. So what are we doing? You raised your revenue, but that's not even enough to get you approved for the truck or whatever it is you needed, the amount of supplies. So I have to get going. I got to do things with people that actually need the help. Right? A lot of us want hand-me-outs. A lot of us are like, give me, give me, give me, give me. I bought a business. Give me, give me, give me, give me. Oh, this person helped me start my business, or I had somebody who helped me do this. Give me, give me, give me, give me. But until you build something from the bottom up, a lot of you are taking things for granted. And it's just the truth. So let's see if there's any more information. So this is the questionnaire form if I didn't show you guys already. It looks a little bit more in depth. Let me show you guys what it has, and we'll close up. So get the funding your business needs fast. Complete this questionnaire to get a very personalized and customized email response on your best funding option and options. Plus, you'll get a free 6-step pre-approval lending checklist to get you approved for funding much faster. So it'll ask you for everything from your name, your email, phone number, and I put mobile preferred. Please put your mobile number. The reason I ask for that is not to harass or heckle you. It's because I'm going to send you a quick email text, or an email first, and then a text usually follows thereafter reminding you that I sent you this email. Please refer to it, because if it's a business number and I have to get through your gatekeeper, I'm not going to be calling it. I'm not going to be calling it. That's for sure. When I hear, oh, well, John is busy at the moment, can I take? Yes, okay, I'll do that. But John never calls back. Lisa never called. That's okay. We get busy. We probably forget, or we don't want to deal with this person right here and then, or I don't want this anymore. I don't want to have to be the person who has to get called back, which I've done. Like 3 days later, I go, hi, Joanne. We spoke 2 days ago. Just wondering to see if Justin was in. No, he's on a call with another person. And I go, okay. No, I don't need to leave him a voicemail. Like, and then again, hi, Joanne. Oh, God, the same result. So please don't be that person who's really hard to get a hold of. I send you a quick text message. I don't have to get on a call with you for most cases when it comes to a lot of this. It can be something very quick. Sometimes you need to explain this to me something over the phone, and you need to go more in depth about the situation. But if it isn't a whole lot, it's not a lot that's going to change from what you already put on here, then let's get the ball rolling. What are we waiting? I showed you everything. I showed you the underwriting. I showed you how this works. So what is your next step? Let me know. What is holding you back? So funding amount that you're requesting, put an amount there. Time in business, please specify years or months. Don't put just a number. FICO credit score, please don't leave this blank. I'm not a creditor. I don't use this information against you. It is very safe and secure. It's for me to understand what you qualify for. Do you have business credit established? Please, yes or no. Don't leave this blank. I have so many people that I did this on the weekend with. My goodness, like, they could have qualified for an SBA loan, but I don't even know if they have business credit established. So they just kind of they just dragged it out for me a little bit. And I'm going to get in touch with them, if not today, hopefully tomorrow. It'll likely be a call because they have been unresponsive. And what would another email do? I would respond back. Okay, but they don't respond back. Now a whole week has passed. So get on your tail, guys. Like, this stuff is very informational and helpful. And if you guys don't want to deal with somebody who knows this stuff, if you guys want to deal with somebody who's just going to kick you guys in and out, then you guys can go ahead and do that. It's fine with me. But those who really do need the help will come and get it. So lowest monthly revenue in the last 3 months. I may sometimes even ask 6 months. Average monthly revenue, average daily bank balance, your annual gross revenue. What is your use of funds? Please be specific. Go through all those. There's more. Like what? Now, existing business loan, yes or no? Makes a big difference. Please put that in there. Business industry, business name, any additional notes? This is your spot to put in what is the exact use of your funds. Here, let me move this. I want you guys to be specific. If it's for expansion, tell me, hey, I'm getting 2 trucks. One's I don't know, could be anything. I'm gonna get a U-Haul. Be more specific about what you're actually intending on, and then I want to get 20,000 that's going to inventory with new products. Okay, good. That makes a big difference. But when you don't have it there, I get you guys might be expecting a phone call, but it's going to not always be in the form of one if it doesn't make sense. And it has to be, hey, just give me a little bit more information, or I may ask for it in the email. What's your exact expansion project or projects? Exact use, expectations, rates, blah, 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 boom, 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 boom. Instead of, oh, I didn't feel fueled out. I don't even know if it's expansion. Maybe it was purchasing an existing business. And one other thing, when you're purchasing an existing business, what I want to see is not necessarily the business that you are acquiring. I want to see your business. You have to have experience running your own business for you to get an acquisition, and specifically also with the SBA. So if you're going to fill this out for purchasing an existing business, and I may reemphasize this down here, but put your own details. I want yours, not the actual business you're trying to purchase. Or you can put the business you're trying to purchase on top of your own request. You can fill out 2 of these if need be, or put in the additional notes. What is it that you're trying to get, and what are you trying to do? Send me the information if you need to so I can verify and look at it. But your existing business is preferred when you're trying to purchase an existing one. So once that gets submitted, then you can go to the thank you page and get started right then and there. So it'll look like that more or less. There are more parts to it, but literally on the thank you page, you can already go in and get out. Like literally get in and then check to see what you will get approved for. There are a lot of options and so forth. And if you don't want to go directly into that, I get it. You might be waiting for my email response or me to get in contact with you, and that's okay. But a lot of these cases, you can just get started from going to the thank you page. So now let me go over here to the comments. Hi, Miguel. How are you doing? It would be very difficult. You wouldn't be quote unquote classified as a small business in pertaining to the SBA 7A's requirements. There's a lot of stuff to look at through like NICS codes and the amount of risk, as well as the amount of revenue, time in business. An Uber driver, I wouldn't say specifically should go through the SBA 7A because it's sole proprietor and a few other reasons. You have things like if you're a complete startup, it would be a little bit more difficult for an Uber driver and a Lyft driver to get these types of SBA microloans. You have the Community Advantage program. Those are 2 programs with the SBA 7A or with the SBA. The microloans and the Community Advantage. Community Advantage would be a little bit more difficult to qualify for. The microloans would probably be your best bet. And then crowdfunding would be another one that I recommend. Crowdfunding equity sources. There are quite a bit of them. So I'll try to leave more information of that down below in the description. But for an Uber, let me open this back up really quick. You would want to go through, we have a 1099 service for self-employees. And so if you want to learn more about what you can qualify for, if you haven't gone through it yet, I'll try to leave info down. But if you fill out the questionnaire form, you can go to the thank you page and in it will say something like self-employee. I believe I still have it up. Click that and then you'll learn more about this program. And it'll also be a part of the questionnaire. If you submitted it, I'll give it back to you in time. Okay, just a few more minutes and I will get going. Anybody have any more questions? I know it's a lot. Even I'm still learning a lot of things in this field. And some of the things I'm like, I thought I knew just about all of it. I'm not a know-it-all. I'm just saying what I'm keeping up with and everything with the underwriters and the lenders. But then there's something that changes. And I'm like, oh, they didn't tell me about that until this point, until after I spoke with you. And then I go, oh, well, now you can't consolidate this, or this is the way this is set up. And then now we can't get a hold of one another this way. And so there are always changes. Lenders work in a specific way. Lenders are always changing their requirements, especially in today's market. It can become even a headache for me sometimes, but I'm always keeping track of it and knowing what's happening. So I'll give it about a minute. Sorry, important. I usually don't get on my phone when I'm here. This weekend was somewhat fun. Just hung around the house mainly. Had some good food. Sat out on the hammock yesterday afternoon in the blazing sun. It was about 99 degrees. And in our backyard, we have trees. And so the sun doesn't come through. It's only in our front yard. And it was blistering hot. I went out on a walk at about, what was it, one? A little bit before, probably like 12:50. Walked around my old middle school track about 6 to 7 or so times, and then I got on the bigger track, walked out through some neighborhoods. But I jogged the track a little bit, and then I walked other areas with my podcasts. I'm that guy who you see walking out in the streets on an afternoon with his headphones in and listening to the latest podcasts, plenty of them. And then at times I'll put a little bit of music in between and listen to other things. But I believe each and every one of you should be listening to audio. I read a lot, but I also listen to audio. And I'm always on top of the latest stuff that's happening, what's working in my space. Not literally the like site MySpace. What have you done in that route, Timothy? Have you explored much of that at all? Is there something you're specifically stuck on where you're thinking it may not be worth it? I always do think, and this isn't only for the minority certification on the 8A, any kind of mentoring, any kind of leadership opportunities, because they put you in a spot to become a leader too. And you can also voice these things and help out other people. That goes a long ways. It's kind of like when you go to your chamber of commerce, right? You're building the foundations. That's what you want to be doing. Every part of this is worth it. And you have, if you don't see the value in it being something longer term, then you might as well not even do it. If you're just doing something for the short term, it wouldn't work for you. So everything you guys view with this minority certification, as well as many other ones, look at the long-term return on it. It may not happen right away, something you're thinking, your expectations, but maybe a month to 2, 3 months down the road, because you formed this relationship with someone, your door is just, hey, I'm going to connect you with this angel investor. His name is John, who works in your specific industry, who's going to help you with the specific, you know what I mean? Like that's what happens in this industry a lot, especially with the people that I can connect you guys with. So I'm going to leave it at that. Hopefully you guys have the answers. I'm going to come out with more information on other pieces of content this week. At any point, if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to get a hold of me. Comment section down below. And then, let's see here. Oh, nice. Yeah, I think we spoke about this before, or somebody else is in the same. Pretty cool. And so what I want to leave you guys with is, because we're running out of time here, is make sure you guys, one, start through that questionnaire form. You'll see things like minority certifications, grants, minority grants, a lot of things that is going to open you up to, hey, there's this type of funding available. This is what I do. This is how I need the help. What can I then do to better myself? To put myself first, not in a business financial perspective, but yourself first, your character. What you project in here, you're going to see it out there. So take the time to work on yourself personally. So that'll conclude everything for myself. I know we spent a good amount of time on this. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Talk to you all soon.